Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at solving equations with variables on both sides using algebraic thinking. And the first thing that we want to cover is some vocabulary that we'll want to be very comfortable using. The first word is variable, and a variable is just something that we do not know. It is an unknown value. And so when we look at this example of -2 times a plus 12, our variable is represented by a because that is what we don't know. A coefficient is any value that is being multiplied by a variable. And so if my variable is a is being multiplied by the value of -2. So the whole value of -2 is our coefficient. And lastly, our constant, that is just something with a fixed value, so something that does not change. Generally speaking, when we look at equations, it might be just a number that is by itself, not attached to a variable. And in this case, in our example, that is the +12. So that +12 is by itself, it is fixed, it is not changing. And just like the equations that we solved in 6th grade and in 7th grade and when we were solving using our tiles, our goal of solving an equation is to isolate the variable or find the value of what one whole x is. So we're going to take a look at one example. And so our example is -2x plus 8 is equal to 3x minus 2. And when we're solving equations with variables on both sides, it's important for us to get the variables on the same side of the equation first. And so I'm going to highlight the terms that have variables in them. So we have -2x and we have +3x, and they are on both sides of that equation sign. So I want to get them on the same side. And it doesn't matter if I get them all to the left or to the right, the value of x will remain the same. So I personally like dealing with positive coefficients. And so I see right here we have a -2x. So in order to move that or to get rid of that -2x, I need to create a zero pair. So the opposite of -2x would be a +2x. And I'm going to add 2x to both sides to maintain that balance. And think of x's and constants or variables and constants kind of like place value. So when I combine these, I'm only adding the 2x to the place value that has another variable. So -2x plus 2x, that just cancels out and makes 0. And I'm left with a +8. +8 will equal, so again, when I'm looking at this right-hand side, I'm only adding 2x to the x's that are already there. I'm not adding the 2x to that -2. So I'm taking a look at 3x plus 2x, which gives me 5x's, and then that -2 is still there. So now that we've gotten our variables on one side, this is just a 7th grade equation, right? So now I want to get my constants on the other. So I'm going to highlight my constants, which are just my numbers by themselves. And notice when I highlighted the 2, I included the negative with it. So my variables are now on one side. The constants need to go on the other. So I'm going to take a look at the constant that's on the same side as the equation. And to create a zero pair with -2, I need to add 2. And now I'm simplifying. So I have 8 plus 2, that gives me 10, which will equal 5x. The -2 and the +2 made a zero pair. And now we're down to just a 6th grade equation. I know that 10 is equal to 5 groups of x, or 5 times x. And so the inverse operation of that would be to divide into 5 different groups so I can find out what just one x is equal to. So when I have 10 divided by 5, I get 2. And when I have 5x divided into 5 groups, I get just 1x. So my x is equal to a positive 2.